Zachary, thoughts on the Office reboot happening with Greg Daniels coming back as the showrunner?
No! God, please, no! No!
So this was announced, I don't know, a week back that they're doing a revamp of The Office with the original showrunner returning to bring it back to kind of catch the original magic. And the general reaction from the internet has been kind of like rolling their eyes. Seriously, what are we doing here? Do we have any original ideas? And on the one hand, I would say the concept of The Office is transferable. And what I mean by that is the central thing that makes it work isn't unique to 2005 or 2008. There's an opportunity for comedy that recycles in new ways. What office life was like in 2005 is not the same as what office life is like in 2023, in particular post-COVID. There's a lot of ways at which it makes it different, and there's new opportunities for comedy. And for that exact reason, the show has been transported all over the world. Case in point, The Office starring Steve Carell is not the original, which I'm sure you know, but it started in Britain, and it had a certain flavor to it. And when they first imported it over in the first season, they tried to just do one-to-one. Let's just do that in the United States. The pilot episode, it's the same script. And it didn't really work. Even though they had the same actors that went on to become legends, it didn't quite work because the United States is not Britain. American humor is not the same as British humor. They're slightly different. And so they just tweaked it a little bit, and then it became the stuff of legends shortly afterwards. So on the one hand, I look at it and say, are there new opportunities for comedy in the year 2023 that weren't available 20 years ago? Yes. Have the office life changed? Yes. So is there something potentially there that would make sense to bring it back? I would say absolutely there is. Am I excited for this? No, I'm not. Do I think it'll capture what I just said? No, I don't. And I think so much of that is there was lightning in a bottle that happened in the original show. That there was a great premise Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant came up with. They brought it over, and just the right people at the right time made it work. Like Steve Carell had been, for lack of a better words, a struggling actor for 20 years. The thing I knew him from prior to The Office was in Bruce Almighty, just this standout scene where you got a movie where Jim Carrey is just full Jim Carreying, and the standout moment is some news anchor guy that Jim Carrey's controlling, doing this. And I was like, who's this guy? This guy's hilarious. And then a few years later, of course, he gets the show and his career exploded. But he wasn't that. John Krasinski was not John Krasinski as we know him right now. So many people in the cast of that show, so many of the writers have gone on to do so many different things that there's just an unusually large amount of in front of and behind the screens talent in the original run of The Office. And because of that, it took off. Other problem with bringing it back is that you have expectations that weren't really there when it debuted 20 years ago. You're not trying to recapture the it obviously was a remake of the British show, but at the time, it's not like that was super accessible or not known in the United States, whereas right now, we have a thing to compare it to. So you're not just trying to do what's the best version of this in the year 2023 or 2025, whenever it comes out. You're trying to like also recapture the magic, and that screws you up. Another one that comes to mind is that the what they were able to do when that show debuted, you can't do now. Go rewatch the first couple seasons of The Office. You can't do that now. It's a debate as whether you should be able to do it now. Should they have ever been able to do some of the comedy that they were doing? But that doesn't fly now. And that's the reason we don't have as many legendary comedy shows right now. We don't have as many comedy films coming out because we're in this era where today's jokes are cancelable in a month. I just don't know if you could get away with it. And so there's so many things working against it that I can't be excited for a revamp of The Office right now. there's a little, like, I read one of the books that was kind of the history of The Office, and they did lose certain people once they got to season 4 or 5. Not everyone blames it on the loss of Steve Carell when the show went off the rails. It was losing it a couple years before that because they started changing out the writers, showrunners, a lot of things like that. So getting the original guy back, I think that helps a lot. And me being like, maybe there's a little hope there, but in general, I think that this is not an idea that will work out. Most of these clips are pulled from my Patreon live streams. I do about 6 live streams every single month. For $2 per month, $20 per year, you can get access to all the exclusive videos and live streams. For $5 per month, you get your name on my end card. At the top tier, you get a 30-minute video chat with me each month. The link down below in the description has more information.